Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1805, and today's date is March 3rd, 2019, and the title of the episode is The Economic Crisis Will Expose the Central Bank. Now, don't you just love it when you find a $20 bill in a jacket pocket you haven't worn in ages, or a purse you've not used for a long time? That's a great feeling, huh? Well, imagine this, finding hundreds of dollars in the papers that are sitting in your file cabinet or, like, desk, box, in your garage or attic. I'm talking about that old 401k paperwork from the job before last, before you moved, before life got really busy, the one you forgot about, the one you just remembered. That money is sitting there doing nothing, just gathering financial dust when it could be working hard for you. Our friends at Noble Gold can cast an eye over that lost paperwork and see if you qualify for a precious metals IRA with it. If you do, you could make thousands, and it costs you zilch. Now, they don't expect you to go hunting around the attic for nothing, so they're offering one of these special Morgan Silver dollars for all qualified IRAs above $20,000. So dig out the old paperwork and click the link below to get started on your gold IRA. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Right now, we have two economies existing simultaneously. We have the old economy, which is the central bank economy, which is imploding on itself. And we also have the Patriot economy, which is the transition where we're bringing back manufacturing, bringing back companies, basically resetting everything to the way it was before the central bank came along. And right now, the central bank economy is completely exposed to everything. Think about it for a second. There was a time where the central bank was in complete and utter control. They were able to have events. They were able to cover up what they've been doing. They were able to tell stories to convince people this is why we're coming off of gold. This is why we're going on to the petrodollar, but never really tell us that we're going on to the petrodollar. They were able to create debt like crazy. And now, everything that they've done in the past is being exposed. When we move into the next economic crisis, and we will move into the next economic crisis, will it be in 2019? Most likely not. Will it be in 2020? Most likely not. I do believe the Patriots, Trump, have pushed this off until probably around 2021. Why did they push this off? Well, they needed Trump back in the president's seat to carry out the second part of the mission of the Patriots. And we can see from this time moving forward, Trump is going to be making more deals, bringing more jobs back to the country, reshaping everything. Why? To get ready for the transition. So what we're seeing right now, and when we have reports of, retail is dying, the housing market is not doing well, the auto industry is not doing well, this is all because of the central bank economy. That is their economy that they created, and their economy is failing. They've known this for a very long time. So we need to separate the two. We need to separate the central bank economy and the new economy, the transition that is coming in. Now, Trump, he's going to be making bilateral trade agreements with many more countries. Out in the UK, we understand there's a Brexit going on. We understand that the EU, they don't want this to happen. They're trying to stop it any way they possibly can. Because we know that if the UK leaves, it's the EU that is in trouble. Will the UK struggle for a little bit? Maybe. But they have many opportunities open to them. So when the Brexit happens, the United States is ready to strengthen trade relations with the United Kingdom. According to this new document from U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer department, the U.S. is looking forward to a fair, balanced, and reciprocal trade with the UK. This document was released about 2 weeks after President Trump said he was anticipating substantially increased trade between the UK and the US once the two countries sign off on a new trade deal. And we know that there are many other countries on the free and open trade bloc that will do business with the UK. The EU, they're the ones who are going to suffer. And once this happens, there's going to be many other countries that are going to be looking at this and say, you know something? We need to follow what the UK is doing. They're doing pretty darn good. Of course, the EU is going to be out there. They're going to be fear-mongering. And they'll try to fear-monger all the way up until the actual break between the two. And they'll even fear-monger a little bit afterwards. But then countries start to realize that the UK is actually doing a lot better without the EU than with the EU. And we need to remember, we don't just have one economy in the US. We have two. We have the central bank economy, which is failing. And then we have the transition economy that Trump is creating. What we are witnessing right now is the destruction of the central bank economy in real time. The central bank does not have an event to hide it, so you're seeing it happen like we've never seen it before. Look what's happening in retail right now. Major chains like Gap, JCPenney, Victoria's Secret, Foot Locker have all announced massive closures, totaling more than 465 stores in the last 48 hours. All four companies reported fourth quarter results last week for the holiday period, with three of them, Gap, JCPenney, and Victoria's Secret, reporting a sizable decline in same-store sales. Foot Locker had modest growth. And all these chains that we're talking about, they're closing a lot of stores. Foot Locker right now is going to be closing 165 stores across the country. The Gap is going to be closing 230 stores. Remember, the central bank economy is imploding on itself. A while back, we've been talking about how the dealerships channel stuffed their lots to show that manufacturing was fantastic and sales were fantastic. And what we're seeing right now is that auto sales, they've tumbled to 18-month lows. The SUV sector at one time was holding up the entire auto industry. And now we see the SUV sector, well, it's not doing that well. Fiat Chrysler posted its first monthly sales decline in a year. Jeep, the company driving the main force of Fiat Chrysler, well, it looks like it's slowing down. And this is not a very good sign. We also see that millennials, they're saying, listen, we are strapped with student loans and we have a huge amount of debt, and it is completely impossible for us to go out and purchase a home. And these are individuals that are between age 23 and 35. And they really missed out on the post-crisis recovery because a lot of these individuals, they couldn't find high-paying jobs. They had a lot of student loans. They still have a lot of student loans, and they want to pay these off before they go out and actually purchase a home. And right now, it's very, very difficult for all these individuals. So what we're seeing right now is that the central bank economy is completely exposed, and Trump is going to use this against them later on, which we'll be getting into in just a minute. But Trump is creating the transition economy by reworking trade deals. I mean, we discussed the UK breaking away from the EU. The United States is ready to make bilateral trade agreements with them. We know that Trump is working on a trade deal with China. He tweeted out the following: I have asked China to immediately remove all tariffs on our agricultural products, including beef, pork, etc., based on the fact that we are moving along nicely with trade discussions. And I did not increase their second tranche of tariff to 25% on March 1st. This is very important for our great farmers and me. Trump is working out a deal that benefits the United States, that benefits China, instead of having it lopsided. This is the plan. The plan is to get rid of the globalist trade deals, to get rid of the central bank, to undo everything the deep state, the globalists, the central banks have done over the many, many years. And Trump has done a lot in 2 years. Now, Trump was speaking at CPAC and he hit Powell really hard. Of course, he didn't name him by name. He called him the gentleman in the Fed. And he said, listen, this gentleman is trying to tighten. He wants to raise interest rates, and he wants a strong dollar. Everything that we don't need right now. He also said many other things about trade and about how we need to reestablish our economy the way it once was. Take a listen to what he said at CPAC.
Allow a country to charge us 100%, and we get nothing for the same exact product. For one thing, they don't respect us. They think we're stupido. They don't respect us. But let me tell you something. The world respects our country again. They respect us. And America is now booming like never before. Other countries are doing very poorly. Other countries are doing very poorly. And that makes it even harder for us to be successful. Plus, we have a gentleman that likes raising interest rates in the Fed. We have a gentleman that loves quantitative tightening in the Fed. We have a gentleman that likes a very strong dollar in the Fed. So with all of those things, and we want a strong dollar, but let's be reasonable, you understand. With all of that, we're doing great. Can you imagine if we left interest rates where they were? There's no inflation, essentially. There's no inflation. Can you imagine if we left interest rates where they were? If we didn't do quantitative tightening, taking money out of the market? If we didn't do quantitative tightening, and this would lead to a little bit lower dollar, a little bit. I want a strong dollar. But I want a dollar that's going to be great for our country. Not a dollar that's so strong that it is prohibitive for us to be dealing with other nations and taking their business. Since the election, we've created a number that I would have said during the campaign, the fake newsers back there would have said this is crazy. 5.3 million new jobs, including over now 600,000 beautiful, brand new manufacturing jobs that were never going to come back to our country. These are jobs that were never coming back to us. Remember? Not to talk badly about the other administration, but if that theory went forward with crooked Hillary winning the election, instead of being up almost 50% with the stock market, you would have been down 50%. It was heading down. It was going to be a disaster. We have nearly 5 million Americans that have been lifted off of food stamps. Nobody ever thought that was possible.
And as you can see, he is reversing everything right now, and he's done a lot just in the 2 years. And he even talked about how within the NAFTA agreement, it seemed like they were trying to get rid of the manufacturers, trying to get rid of the businesses here in the United States and force them into other countries. Yes, what he's saying is that the central bankers' plan, the globalist plan, was to remove all of this from the United States, to make the United States very, very weak, and to push the companies out of the United States. Now, Trump is making it difficult for companies to leave the United States. It'll be very, very costly for them. So it's better that they stay here. And what he's doing right now is he's removing everything that they've done, and I'm talking about the globalists, the central banks, the deep state, what they've done in the past to make companies leave. He's bringing them back, removing regulations, making taxes a lot better. Hopefully he'll get rid of taxes completely, get rid of the IRS, get rid of the central bank. And you can see that we are on a completely different economic plan than the central bank plan. And very soon, when we hit that crisis, it will completely expose the central bank. And you'll see Trump and the Patriots, that's when they'll make the kill shot. And they'll blame it all on the Fed. We'll have the audit of the Fed, and they'll be completely exposed. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.